Assalamu alaikum and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new episode of our career mode. This time, round 11 here at Germany, Hockenheim. We've turned the difficulty up to 90 after our wins last time out, but let's get straight into things. Now, turn 1 is really tricky, especially when you haven't done any kind of warm-up laps and we end up cutting the corner, not carrying enough speed. Somehow, we're still first. Anyway, we slow it right down in for turn 2, drop it down to second gear, now short shifting up into fourth, and now get the power on as you make your way onto the back straight. Not quite sure what our exit speed is like relative to the AI, but we are in fourth, and, well, we can't really see their ghosts up ahead, so it must be decent. Brake at about 100 meters, drop it down into first as you get towards the apex, now short shift up to third, and now you can get back to your usual accelerating ways. We're a bit late on the throttle and we dropped down to 5th place after a pretty good run into the hairpin. We end up running wide through Mercedes, but we pull it back across. This corner is usually flat out, but again, not having done any kind of practice laps beforehand, it's just kind of hard to all of a sudden just get straight into the groove of things, especially at a track like Hockenheim. Nice diagonal braking into Sachs curve as you feed the power in, and we are back up into 4th place as we make our way into the Sud curve, 4th gear. Take as much curb as you can, just let the momentum flow through, and we will finish off our lap and secure a 4th place. I think at least half a second to a second in that lap. I mean, you saw us run wide a few times at 13.2. I can't remember what I did in Valence League, but heading straight into the race, we should be able to have a good job. But let's just focus on the start. Get your RPM at about 11,000 and away we go. Not the best of starts, and that's Perez who's going to have a little look around the outside. But we'll just cut turn 1 a little bit, dive it straight down to the inside so we don't make contact with the Ferrari. Could have a look at Leclerc as well into turn 2, but we're going to be nice and sensible. A little bit of understeer into T2, but get back on the power and it's a decent start. We've gained 1 position, and now we can focus on trying to get the Ferrari off Leclerc and then our teammate. However, we have turned the difficulty up, so things are going to be a little bit more difficult now. Brake very early into the hairpin of turn 6, especially on the first lap, as it's very easy to outbrake yourself on the opening lap and end up losing a bit of front wing, as we saw in the Valence League a while back. But still opening lap, we can see Leclerc and Bottas. This is fine. We've got 5 laps to make our way through, and we know how much we come into things. We know that on the first lap we aren't usually that quick, and it's once we start getting a good feel, getting into a rhythm, that's when we really start pumping out those solid lap times. So I'm not too worried at this point. Just need to focus, just stay within contact. Maybe if I can get a good run out of the chicane of turns 2 and 3, we can have a go into the hairpin. And let's see what our run through turn 1 is like. We take as much curb as possible, and actually we might be able to have a little look at Leclerc into turn 2. Will we go for it? No. But we take a very late apex so we can get on that power a little bit early and get a better run through turn 3. We go purple in the first sector, but everyone will knock it up into overtake Rich. And now let's just see if we can get the run onto Leclerc. We're too far back this time, so we'll have a look another time. But we're actually kind of close, and we dive it right at the end down into first gear. Leclerc turns into us, and as a result, we end up running wide. It's weird how the game works in that sense, that when someone turns into you, you end up running wide rather than actually pushing you into the circuit. But there you go. Maybe it's because you end up reactively opening up your steering to deal with that. But regardless, Leclerc braked early, and we went for the opening. So up into second on the second lap of the race. As you can see, we've dropped the ERS down to none for this third sector. And we can see Bottas up ahead, and as we saw with Leclerc, we're quite quick through turn 1 relative to the AI, so we should be able to close into Bottas as well. If we knock the ERS back up into high, drop it down again for turn 1, we take too much curb there, really. That was a little bit cheeky, but you can see how close we are to Bottas, and indeed we do get a warning. But down into second gear, we're in low, and now knock it up into Rich, knock the ERS up, DRS open as well. And we are actually pretty close. It's very easy to overtake here at Germany and very difficult to break away because of this DRS. We switch over to the inside, brake at the 100-meter board, and we get it slowed in right down at the apex, and that's us up into first place, knock it back up into overtaker. Now we just want to push for the remainder of this lap, just try to break that 1 second zone to Bottas so he can't have a look into the hairpin on lap 4. But it's pretty much plain sailing now. All we have to do is just drive. It's just do our thing. And as I say that, we miss the apex a little bit and run ever so slightly wide. But Indy Sachs, once again, is actually a really fun corner once you get it right, because you can carry so much more speed than you would initially think. And it's just that diagonal braking down into third gear, midway through, drop it down into second just to get it turned in a bit more, and then back on the power, short shifting up to fourth. Is very easy to lose a back end. We set a new fast lap of a 14.0, and look how far Bottas is. And you know, as I said, Austria and Britain were very, very good tracks for us because we've done Valence League there and we just like them. That's why we bumped it up. But again, Germany is a track we've done in Valence League, so we're just quick here because we've done lots and lots of practice already, so we know the circuit very well. The same will be said for Hungary and for Spa, but once we get to Monza onwards, I would not have done practice. So it's almost going to be like going back to the performance we had at circuits like Bahrain and Australia. That being said, though, it's going to be a good chance for us to kind of compare how far we've come, because no setups as usual, no previous race practice. In fact, when I did Australia and Bahrain, I was doing, you know, 25% races before, and just to test my pace without setup. Whereas when we go to Monza and stuff, maybe I'll do a 5-lap practice, but it's going to be a really good indication of how much we have improved as a driver from the start of the season to Monza. But I think I will be knocking up the difficulty to 95, probably for Spa. We'll see how Hungary goes. But final lap of the race, we've pulled out a massive, massive gap to Bottas. And, you know, we talked about this, I think it was at Monaco or China. You know, some circuits, if you don't use a setup, it's fine. Stuff like Austria, where the setup doesn't make a huge difference. But then you go to other tracks, like Monaco, where having a setup can give you over a second a lap. So it varies from track to track, and it's something very important to note, and it kind of changes how we will perform relative to the AI at each circuit. Ooh, but we have a massive moment, and we just about hold it coming through Mobile 1. That was hairy. Oh, and we lose it back in, getting the power down. Our tires are slightly overheated, and all of a sudden it's going to look like this race was much closer than it actually was, as we have another moment, but we just need to nurse the car across the line. Bottas is looking to have a run, but it's fine. We take the win. Thank you for that, Jeff. 5 race wins in a row. I don't know why I'm getting so tongue-tied today, but yeah. There we go. Another win for us. We extend our lead in the championship by a fair amount, really. We'll see what it is in a second. But there you go. Our fast lap almost a second quicker than the AI. So that's pretty good, I guess. And in the standings, 76 points ahead of Vettel. But we just have to focus and just keep this up, really. We're getting nearer to the end of the season, though. I say end, but we're about halfway through, as we're going to do our Kimi Räikkönen style interviews right now. And just no comments. But don't forget to let me know when we finish this season what you'd like me to do for the next season, because I'm going to restart the career mode from scratch. But let me know length races, qualifying lengths, difficulties. Do you want me to do the F2 championship or not, etc, etc, etc. As all of this is going to be quite important. But that's everything, really. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. And until next time, stay milky, and assalamu alaikum.